Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakudash, Barakathom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you Akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off with Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, in the Apocrypha, chapter 26. I'm going to read verse 10 through 12. If thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. And a woman's not supposed to have rights. She's supposed to be heavily restricted in society. She's supposed to live in her father's home until her father finds a suitable husband for her. Because if you allow a woman to have overmuch liberty, more often than not, she's going to ruin her life. Because a woman is ruled by her emotions. She's like a cat that sees a shiny object. And you can clearly see that in this gynocentric society we live in. These women pick the bad boy and end up single mothers full of STDs. But in this feminized society run by Esau Edom, the so-called white man, that red Hebrew Edomite, he doesn't allow you to discipline your daughter or keep her under the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. It's considered a child abuse or sexism, and you're looked at as the bad guy and face having child protective services come take your children or put you in jail. That's even if there's a man in the household, because these women see the government as their daddy, so they'll have a man knock them up and then put him on child support. Just complete madness. Verse 11, watch over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she transpass against thee. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow. And that's the Most High speaking poetically, because if a woman's allowed to have overmuch liberty, she's going to lie on her back and open her legs or her quiver to every Tom, Dick, and Harry's arrow out there. I'm sure a lot of you brothers have heard of that term hypergamy, where a woman will be dealing with a man, but if she has a chance to hop onto another man of higher status, she's going to do it. That's why the Bible has a negative view on women, because it understands women's nature. But now I'm going to get into this article on USA Today, which just goes to show what happens when you can't discipline a shamefaced daughter and allow her to have overmuch liberty. And the title of this article is 1 in 4 teen girls have an STD. At least 1 in 4 teenage girls nationwide has a sexually transmitted disease, or more than 3 million teens, according to the first study of its kind in this age group, and you can't say anything positive about this. A virus that causes cervical cancer is by far the most common sexually transmitted infection in teen girls age 14 to 19 years old, when a woman's in her prime sexual and reproductive years, while the highest overall prevalence is among black girls, which is no surprise. Just look at the black community. Look what happens when you have a matriarchy run by a bunch of shameless women. You have single-parent households where the girls are whores, or the boys grow up to be overly effeminate simps that allow women in society to walk all over them or just become homosexuals. Nearly half the blacks studied had at least one STD. And there's a brother I know in this truth whose wife is a nurse, and says that it's mostly so-called black women that come into the clinics with high rates of STDs and even a high rate of AIDS. That rate compared with 20% among both whites, Edomites, and Mexican American teens, or Issacharite Israelites, the study from the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found. About half of the girls acknowledged ever having sex. Among them, the rate was 40%. While some teens define sex as only intercourse, other types of intimate behavior, including oral sex, can spread some infections. And a lot of these young girls out here are having oral sex. It's just complete madness. For many, the numbers likely seem overwhelming because you're talking about nearly half of the sexually experienced teens at any one time having evidence of an STD, said Dr. Margaret Blythe, an adolescent medicine specialist at Indiana University School of Medicine and head of the American Academy of Pediatrics' Committee on Adolescence. But the study highlights what many doctors who treat teens see every day, Blythe said. Dr. John Douglas, director of the CDC's Division of STD Prevention, said the results are the first to examine the combined national prevalence of common sexually transmitted diseases among adolescent girls. He said the data from 2003 to 2004 likely reflect current rates of infection. And this article came out in 2011, and you best believe things have gotten much worse since then. This data coming out in 03 and 04 was before social media, and we can see the fruits of social media's labors. High STD rates among young women, particularly African American young women, are clear signs that we must continue developing ways to reach those most at risk, Douglas said. And the only way to reach those most at risk is to take away women's rights and put them under the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Oh, and also, not just social media, but all these sex apps out there, such as Tinder. The CDC's Dr. Kevin Fenton said, given that STDs can cause infertility and cervical cancer in women, screening, vaccination, and other prevention strategies for sexually active women are among our highest public health priorities. And I believe this is all just a part of the plan of the elites for their depopulation agenda, as stated on the Georgia Guidestones. What better way than to covertly contribute to population control than to allow women rights and to have many sexual partners and catch STDs, which lead to infertility? The study by CDC researcher Dr. Sarah Forhan is an analysis of nationally representative data on 838 girls who participated in a 2003 to 04 government health study. Teens were tested for 4 infections: human papillomavirus, or HPV, which is very easy to get. You can get it just by kissing somebody you met on the weekends at a bar or in a club, which can cause cervical cancer and affected 18% of girls studied. And remember, this is girls between the ages of 14 and 19. Chlamydia, another wonderful STD to catch, which affected 4%. Trichomoniasis, 2.5%, and herpes simplex virus, 2%. And herpes is one of those ones that stays with you. Blythe said the results are similar to previous studies examining rates of those diseases individually. The results were prepared for release Tuesday at a CDC conference in Chicago on preventing sexually transmitted diseases. HPV can cause genital warts but often has no symptoms. A vaccine targeting several HPV strains recently became available, but Douglas said it likely has not yet had much impact on HPV prevalence rates in teen girls. Chlamydia and trichomoniasis can be treated with antibiotics. But now these STDs are starting to fight against these antibiotics and render them useless. You've got something out there called super gonorrhea now. The CDC recommends annual chlamydia screening for all sexually active women under age 25. It also recommends the 3-dose HPV vaccine for girls age 11 to 12 years and catch-up shots for females ages 13 to 26. And if this society was allowed to go on for much longer, the ages would just get younger and younger because Esau's pushing for pedophilia to be normalized in this society. So as you can see in this article, this society needs to go. With each passing day, it just gets worse and worse and more wicked. These girls growing up into women are going to become future wives and mothers to you men's children out there. And now you got to worry about catching an STD. It's becoming a 50% chance that you're either going to get it or you're not going to get it. But let's get back into these scriptures. This is back in Sirach, chapter 42 and 11.